In a corporate world where all employees have great leaders with no egos that create fun cultures where people can do their best work, the employees and companies thrive while doing great things for the customers, themselves, and each other.
Well, we know that rarely happens. I'm Jeff Palacio. I have been a leader for over 40 years for every t-shirt size company, from small 16 employees to extra large over 1 million. Please join me while I interview outstanding leaders that will share stories of great leadership and not so great. It will help you become a better leader while poking fun about all the crazy shit that happens in corporate America.
Your financial future begins with a simple question: where do you want to be? At Searcy Financial, we help successful individuals and families through our mission to simplify your financial journey, empowering you to enjoy life and wealth on your terms. The question sparks a conversation that goes beyond numbers, helping us to understand what truly matters to you and the kind of financial plan that aligns with your life goals. It also allows us to identify potential challenges and opportunities so we can proactively address them. The outcome is a plan that empowers you to acquire, growth, and preserve your wealth. If you would like to sign up for updates on Marc's all-for-one book, including the release date, or to sign up for the Searcy Financial Wealth Matters email newsletter, visit the links in the episode description.
Welcome to a special edition of the Corporate Couch. These episodes will be more of a love seat that focuses on one topic and will run 15 to 30 minutes. For each special edition episode, you will hear from one or more outstanding leaders sharing their expertise on the most important challenges in corporate America today. Welcome to the May special edition of It's 5 o'clock Somewhere with Marc Shaffer. Marc, hi.
Happy Friday. It's May Friday and the weather's perfect. And I've got a beer in hand, so
yes,
happy hour.
Yes, I am drinking my favorite go-to regular day-to-day hourly beer, Miller Lite. Keep those.
I've heard of that one before.
The carbs down and the calories low. So there you go.
Yeah, and I'm going with the Joko juice. Joining from Johnson County, and it's hazy IPA, but it is good.
Where are you recording from? The Johnson County Detention Center? It's like a plane. You got in the solitary confinement.
Got kicked out of my own house. It's empty. My wife left me. Kidding. We are redoing my office, so we haven't even booked it yet. But I got impatient, cleared out everything, and they're probably going to come back and say we can do that in 9 months. So we have ideas of what we want. We've talked to some people, but we're ready to move forward on it. We just need to book it. But yes, it looks like I'm in an empty space. And if it's echoing, it's because it is empty. Yeah,
I like your shirt. I got a new shirt for our trip to Cabo in April, and I thought I'd wear it. It has martini glasses, margarita glasses. Yeah.
It's missing pelicans, though. So funny story of mine, and we may talk about this event later. I bought this for stems at the Arboretum because the group that I brought, we wanted to just do a theme, and we said Hawaiian. But this shirt was $9 or $10.99 off Amazon, and it works great. And this might be the second time I've ever worn it.
Love it. So yeah, I'm looking forward to our conversation. I think this is the first time we actually are drinking during It's 5 o'clock Somewhere recording, so that's all good. And we are recording on a Friday, so it's a Friday afternoon, by the way, so that's all good. Yeah, so let's chat. You sent me a nice text today with your new little more information about your book on the sign-up sheet. So talk about where you are in the process and what's next.
By the time this comes out, I should have locked in the manuscript, meaning it's go time, final. If you want changes, make them. And it's a whole process, and as a lot of people know, I hired someone to help, but we're in that phase. So I've sent it to the person in my team that does compliance to make sure I don't say anything too wild, right? And there are some fun stories in there, and people called out. You might be in there, Jeff. So that step is being, I think I passed, but there's some things we're talking about. And then just like fine tuning stuff. And I'm also in the phase of turning some of the content in the book into blogs. So that's kind of been fun and easy because I've already written about it. So it's easy to turn into a kind of a highlight of maybe some topic that I'm talking about in the book. So some people are seeing that in social media. But even though I should lock it in on, I think next Wednesday is my date, is then it goes to copy editing, then it goes to print, then it goes to Amazon or wherever they help me sell it on. So there'll be a whole series of activity in terms of asking for help to be considered a great seller or top seller or whatever those things
Right.
are. I've never done this before, but
Yeah.
it'll be a fun process. But they told me by August I should have a book in hand, July or August.
Oh, nice. Okay, great. What's been your biggest surprise? Like, obviously, this is your first book, so like, what was like, oh my God, I didn't know this.
I didn't realize, like anything else, if you practice, it becomes easier. So, and in all transparency, I'm not writing 100% of it. I'm having someone help me with it. And that has really helped me get over some writer's block in terms of the process of writing. It's sharing ideas, it's going back and forth, it's regular meetings with Jessica Burge is her name. She's wonderful. I would recommend her if anybody needs help with this. But meeting with her every other week for the last 6 or 7 months. And instead of dreading those meetings, and Jessica will tell you, I'm like, I'm behind on what you asked for, but the fact that we keep meeting, I'm never that behind. What I bring to those meetings and the ideas and the conversations are very fun and easy. So that's been a surprise that it's not as dreadful because I am not thought of as a person that sits for 2 hours and writes, but I can talk and trade ideas. So that process made it great for me. So that I probably shouldn't say this, but I think there'll be another book in the future. And if Jessica will have it, she'll be the one to help me too.
Yeah, that's great. And then, I think a lot of people write in air quotes, write their books that way too. So it's not unusual.
Yeah, it's a great community of people because it's not just
Yeah.
her. She's one of the people on the team that helps. Someone else helped with the cover. Like it was a whole survey to go through what you want your cover to look like. And I was like, I never thought about it before, but it's definitely me. If you haven't seen it yet, I think we'll have it put at the bottom of this message here. It's got purple on it. It's got lavender on it. It doesn't have a power cap, but it works for me really well in my branding with K-State. So
And yes,
there was
yes,
intention behind it.
yes, you bleed purple for sure.
Yes,
Um,
and Dan Brown, he's a good friend. I had coffee with him this week. Told him about it, and he said, "Yeah, but can I order it in crimson and blue?" And I was like, "Wow, I want it to do well and make sales in March," is what I told him. And then I remembered I'm a K-State fan, and I can't make a fun of a basketball team failing in March because we don't make it to tournaments. So, anyways, I got to poke at KU when I can.
yeah. So I tried to get on your calendar for a real happy hour, just you and I with no microphones. And
Yep.
we got into it, and it took me way out to the first part of June. Here we're recording on May 9th. But I know you talked about in an email exchange with me about blocking your calendar for like deep strategic work. So tell me about your process and, why did you go to that and how has it helped you?
Yeah, that's kind of evolved over the last year because the last episode we talked about Calendly. So I'm still deciding how this works, right? Is there a day of the week where I don't want anybody getting on my calendar? Is there vacation that I need to block 6 months out? Because people that have open access to your calendar on Calendly can book whenever they want. You don't have to accept those meetings,
Yeah.
but I'm getting more intentional about what I think you're referring to as Tuesday is closed to meetings between 10 o'clock and 3 o'clock. And we internally call this Taco Tuesday. Taco, TACO stands for something, but in easy terms, it's full of good stuff like a taco.
Yeah.
But it's our EOS day where we focus internally. And we have, if anybody's done EOS, it's called your L10 meetings with the different teams that you're on. And I have 2 meetings, and it's business development and financial planning. So all the internal meetings happen that day so that you're not having 15-minute conversations here and maybe 3 times about the same thing with 3 different people. It becomes very structured and being intentional about being focused internally. So that's been new. And, you block out Tuesdays for the rest of the year like that, all of a sudden it gets harder to get on a calendar. And that's just one day.
Yeah, right.
The other thing that I personally kind of think is Fridays, I get a little less motivated to keep up. And usually client meetings, I'll do them, but I would prefer not to have a 3 o'clock Friday client meeting.
Right.
So I changed those dates on when that can get open. But to your point, you need to have focus time where there's nothing that's available other than you to think, slow down. K-Blond, my life coach, says it's Sunday hour 1. I would like to get to where I do that during the work week instead of on a Sunday, right?
Right.
So you got to be intentional about it. So it's not perfect, but it's evolving in a better way.
when I was in Kay's group with you, based on your recommendation, and I was in there a year. Yeah, I definitely took that away. You have to block out time for deep work, strategic work, because we're not, we make money with our minds, right? So you have to think about the things to, make things better, or new ideas, or whatever it is. I took a Cal Newport. I don't know if it was a book he wrote or a blog post, and he's a tech guy. He runs around with the Seth Godins, the Tim Ferrisses of the world. One thing I took from him was color code my calendar. So
Yep.
if I'm traveling for a coffee meeting, it's in lavender. So I know I'm in a car. If it's something personal, it's jet green. Like a dentist appointment. Whatever it
So I've
is.
just now started doing that,
Yeah.
and Calendly will build in buffers in between meetings.
Oh yeah,
So
I use a 30-minute buffer, and then
yep,
you could also limit meetings. So if you only want to have two coffee meetings a day,
yep,
you can do the limit of two. The other thing I mentioned, you can set your calendar so it only goes out 90 days, not 6 months or 4 months, whatever, or shorter
yep.
too. I feel 90 days is pretty good. I use that for most of my meetings and my podcast interviews.
Yeah, the fact that it's easy to schedule now means that I'm just more willing than ever just to give a link, which is nice.
Yeah.
Because before it'd be like, yeah, let's get a meeting, and then nobody does anything. After someone says it, I'll text them the Calendly link, and then it actually happens. So I'm
Right.
meeting with people more than maybe I should have, not should have, more than I did in the past, because it's so easy not to. Yeah, we'll get together, and then you trade an email, and then nothing happens,
Yeah.
right? So that process has been a lot more pleasant, so I can focus on actually meeting with people instead of just trying to schedule, which is a whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to your point on what you mentioned earlier, it reminds me, do you remember the book? And I think we read it in Kay's coaching class, called Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod.
Yes, love the book.
And Hal Elrod is a big supporter of Savers. Do you remember what Savers stood for?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I know it's the morning routine. Oh God. Gee, I know it's like meditation or
Is it?
spiritual, um, kind
Yes.
of
So one thing that I'll mention
visualization.
from him,
Yeah.
the one thing that I'll mention from it is I heard him speak at was an event in Kansas City that Brian Morris put on. It's been a month ago. I was at the, I think it was at Midland Theater, but he was a speaker there. He's not from here, but the main thing was journaling, which is scribing in the Savers. It's silence, affirmation, visualization.
Yeah.
We can look it up, but journaling is something that I haven't done. But to your point on, if some people aren't good at sitting still in the think time for deep
Right.
stuff, writing really gets people somewhere so that it can get out of your mind and on paper. And I need to practice that better for sure.
And yeah, and Kate talked about that a little bit too. Like it was the brain dump, where you
Yep.
get all this stuff out of your mind into a piece of
Yep.
paper, and start.
And not on a computer. There's something about writing with your hand. So that's different too.
Yeah. Well, speaking of books, any books you've read lately that you recommend?
Yeah, I just did a book review on one called, and I don't remember if we talked about this last time, so correct me if we did, but The Five Types of Wealth by Sahil Bloom. Have you heard of that?
No, but actually, one of our mutual connections, I don't know how it came up in an email to me, but said they recommended, or they posted they recommended the book. You had just met and recommended the book. Um,
I think I've sent it to a few people. It might have been Zach Arend. I sent it to him. He loves it too. Kay
yes, it was
Blonde, I sent
Zach.
it to
Yeah.
her.
Yeah.
Yep. And now Kay Blonde's class is doing a 2 month deep dive. But the book is about the five types of wealth, and it's not just about money. It's about time, relationships, the things that are important. But when you think of wealth, most people say it's all about money. If I'm failing at that, I'm failing at everything else. But if you don't have time wealth and can't do what you want freely, sometimes that's more valuable than money. So it's just a good step back, realize that it's got to be a balance, and the money isn't the scoreboard, I guess. So it kind of matches the way I like to do financial planning too, because most people think we focus on that. We focus on the whole life picture. So if you aren't following Sahil Bloom, the author of The Five Types of Wealth, he's a great guy to follow on LinkedIn, and it's fun to watch some of his success. Wise for so young, which a lot of us aspire to be. Takes time.
Yeah, no, I love that. Yeah, a book that I'm really fascinated with is Never Play It Safe by Chase Jarvis. because I really, and he runs around again in that crowd, Tim Ferriss, Seth Godin, all these guys. It's a book that it really is about the changing nature of work and what work means and what it means to you as as a worker, I guess, right? In terms of it's just, we're built for play. Like playing is not productive. Play is productive because you're going to think better if you play. We're meant to play. Like
Well,
kids aren't meant to
yeah.
be 7 hours in a seat in school. They're meant to run around, and I mean, I'm not, the education system, in my opinion, needs to change. But it talks about listening to your intuition, right? And
And not being scared. Kids aren't scared. They
yeah,
try things, and that's the good thing.
right,
I liken it to working in your flow, meaning productive, love what you're doing, everything goes easier. And I've never read this book, but I'm interested now because this has been a great Friday for me. Started out with a coffee at McLean's, and yes, that's normal for me, but went from McLean's to Parisi because I was going to another place and I didn't want to go home and spend 15 minutes. I might as well be productive at another coffee shop. Very productive working remote. And then I went for an hour and a half and volunteered at Growing Futures to grill for the teachers for Teachers Appreciation Week. So if there's any teachers
nice.
listening, thank you. It's awesome. I didn't burn anything down. People's burgers were good. And then I came back here and I'm on this call. So it's been like not sitting behind a computer for 7 hours. You know what I
Right,
mean? And so
yeah.
with that, you're just happier about work. You're changing environments. You're getting in flow. So there might be some of that book that mentions some of that I find myself doing not proactively. I just fall into it every once in a while.
And I think the universe conspires in your favor. So, I've been working with Karen Webster, and she has this soul print journey based on time of birth, your name.
Mm.
I'm into the woo woo. So she's fantastic. And then this book comes into my consciousness through someone I met at Dave Patrick's marketing boot camp, where
Mm.
I was a speaker. And I'm reading it, and it has a lot of things to say that kind of are similar to what the Soulprint Journey work I'm doing with Karen. So I really think corporate America, and I say this all the time, needs to change. And I'm all about culture and building a great one. And work as it exists today is not the work of the future and what it looks like. And I think people, because a lot of people are miserable, right? But they, I make so much money and I don't want to leave. I only got three
Golden
more
handcuffs.
years, or yeah,
Yep.
you're just, and you're miserable. So it's just I highly recommend the book.
I'll check it out. That's a good one.
Yeah. Yeah, we're always meeting with people and we're always exchanging, hey, do you know this person? No, I never met that person. So we do introductions and we do that all the time. What's some of the great people you've met recently that you never knew existed?
Yeah, the most recent one was today was and I'm gonna say his last name wrong. Zeke Ngwanga.
Nagarwanga, yeah, I believe that's it.
And to your point, and I've met him before. This was a follow-up meeting. Great guy doing cool things, but also 29 years old.
Yeah,
So when we were talking today, I was like, "Well, when did you start that in your business?" And he's like, "Well, I've only been in business since 2021." So when he was during the pandemic, I was like, "How did that impact your business?" He's like, "I didn't have it. I was in school."
right.
But I love that about Kansas City and any major metro. Is there someone always to new and
Yeah, yeah,
new to meet? Now that I'm not that young anymore, that means someone I'm going to meet in 5 years is graduating from college today,
right.
and they're going to do awesome stuff. So Zeke was just a good reminder of that because somehow he found a lot of success very early on. So it's fun to catch up with him, see what he's doing. But young people are also struggling, like inflation, cost of things. Like
Wow.
there's a reminder of generational differences based on where we are economically that are interesting for me to watch with young people too.
Well, and he's a COVID kid, meaning like he went to school during COVID,
Mhm.
and interestingly enough, he posted something on LinkedIn, and he had started a podcast while he was at UMKC, University of Missouri Kansas City.
Fired up KC, I think.
Fired, yeah. And I reached out to him on LinkedIn. Hey, let's have a Zoom call. This is first year of COVID, and I just like impressed. He had interviewed Quentin Lucas, the mayor of Kansas City. So I'm like, yeah. So we had a nice call, and then I met him at an event the first time in person. But yeah, I love that. I just interviewed Crystal Watson. She's running for mayor of Kansas City, Kansas, which is also the CEO of the Unified Government of Wyandotte County. She has a fantastic career, great energy. Yeah, and I think we passed introductions to Mary MC Reinhardt, Mary Catherine, who has her own marketing agency since basically graduating from K State. She did a packaging marketing with a firm for a couple of years and started her own marketing agency. And yeah,
I liked meeting her too. And you introduced me to Fiona Lynn.
yeah, if you what a fire, 410 and
Yeah.
a ball of fire, a lot of energy.
I liked her. We met virtually, but I look forward to meeting her in person. As a lot of people know, I love international travel, and she didn't grow up here. I love China. People don't know I've been there a few times, and I love the culture differences. She's from an area that I visited before, and I'm fascinated about people's stories about making it to the United States and what they still think about what's going on here. Is the American dream still alive? Like, do people still want to come here? I
Right,
always wonder. And she started out in Salt Lake and ended up here, and her opinion on the um, entrepreneur scene here feels less engaged and less than Salt Lake City, which I was surprised about because Kansas
huh?
City brags about being a very good entrepreneur city. But what do I know? I've never lived in another city that I can see that, and she has something to compare it to. But she's fun to talk to about how she ended up in Kansas City and is helping some big companies with big growth. So I look forward to getting to know her better too.
Yeah, when I met her through William Godwin, and
Hmm.
we were supposed to meet for an hour over coffee. We met for like an hour and 45 minutes. We had a great conversation. And then I interviewed her on my podcast, hasn't been published yet. And she was so good and so succinct. Like the episode
Really?
went like 52 minutes. Like
Yep.
she just gets to the point. But yeah, I love her energy.
Great follow up too. I've had already follow up since Monday. It's only been a few days ago that I met her.
Wow, if the master of follow up is complimenting someone with their follow up, that's huge kudos. So,
Yes, I will have her. Yes, helping me with more stuff. But yeah, that was a good connection. The other one is interesting, and I forget how I met him. His name's Casey Jones, and when I think of Casey Jones, for some reason I think of the Ninja Turtles. Was that the guy that was the character in Ninja Turtles? I don't know, but that's what I think of.
right,
But he works for City Union Mission. Great guy doing great work, and then moved here from Tulsa and just lived abroad in mission work. And again, I love international stories, but lived in Kazakhstan, which is a place that I haven't been to, but pre-pandemic, we were planning a hiking trip there. And he tells me I need to add it back to the priority list because when people think of Kazakhstan, you don't think I want to travel there, but he had
right.
wonderful things to say about it.
Yeah,
But he's a well-traveled guy,
yeah.
not-for-profit work, and I am going to connect him to, you know her name, the girl that started I Have an Immigrant.
Oh yeah, Kamal Kaur.
She or someone that's associated with that group needs to meet this guy because he started something very similar in Tulsa, and that was a not-for-profit. He started and spun off because of relationships with immigrants.
Right.
But anyways, you never know who you're gonna meet.
Yeah.
And I said it in the last episode, I'm a yes person. Introduce, there's something great and everybody. I don't really say no. And Jeff, to your question earlier, that's sometimes why it takes 3 weeks to get on my calendar.
Right. Right.
But it's always, I never complain about meeting a new person. It's all worthy. So
Yeah.
keep introducing people is great.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. It's just as you know, and we believe in this principles. It's great people should know each other and see if they can create magic together. And you never
Yep.
know if it's going to happen immediately or 5 years after they meet. But it's always
True.
out there.
True.
Hey, you mentioned some charity events. What's upcoming in June for you, charity wise?
Yeah. So recently, I'll mention these because they turned out really great. Was Run for the Roses for Growing Futures. I'm on their board. I think it's great that they're doing for raising money for a Head Start program in Overland Park. We raised over $100,000. That was last weekend. It
Wow.
was wonderful. If you've never been to Bourgmont Winery, have you been there?
Is that in?
Close to Bucyrus.
Yeah, I was going to say out in 69 Highway South. Yeah.
and you go on 199th. So it's not that far. I live south Kansas City.
Yeah.
It's not that far, but it's out, feels like the middle of nowhere, beautiful. And actually there's neighborhoods developing down there in 199th. And these are the neighborhoods that are beginning prices of way too much, beautiful homes, but I forget that there's anything going on. But it was the perfect venue, lots of room for growth. The Kentucky Derby was fun to watch, the 1 minute race or whatever it is. And then to wear the bright jackets. But we also had horses out front, so we had pictures of horses. But Growing Futures is doing a great job with events next week. So again, it's not going to be in June. I'll talk about that next. Is Crawfish Festival that my Overland Park Rotary Club does in St. Pius Church space, which is in Mission, Kansas. We fly it up from Louisiana. If you like crawfish, it's good. If you don't, just drink their cold drinks, which is fine too. And then usually in June is time for stems at the Arboretum, which is also down there. Oh, nice. What is that exit? 179th at the Arboretum?
Yep, 179th and 69, yep.
And that's the one that's coming up most recently. And that, if you've never been, I liken it to, it's all your favorite who's who of Overland Park. So being a Rotarian, I feel like I see all my Rotary friends there. Or if you're in the Overland Park Chamber, it's the people that love to support the Arts and Recreation Foundation. And all it is a wine event and food event. You go there, you walk around, you drink wine, and you try food. And all the local restaurants have a space. This is actually how I got introduced to, Jeff, where you and I used to do happy hours, a little place called Sunset Grill. Right. This was 10 years ago when I didn't live next to it. So there's good food there, but that's coming up in June, and usually the weather is beautiful. Knock on wood, I've walked out of that place where the storm is coming, and that's been beautiful with lightning too. But if no one's been to the Arboretum, it's worth checking out, and even better during the STEMS event.
Yeah, nice.
And like anything else, time's flying. For those of you that like to plan ahead, one fun event that I go to every year and my company sponsors is called Art That Blows, that supports Band of Angels. Mike Meyer has been a great mentor for me over the years, and I've watched him start Band of Angels charity that creates opportunities for students to have access to instruments that otherwise wouldn't have them. But Art That Blows is unique. He takes the instruments that can't be fixed up enough to give away, turns them into art, has a great event at the Abbott that also has a rooftop, which is Friday, July 11th. So it's usually a wonderful time of year, and it's very casual. I could wear this to that event if I wanted to.
Oh, the Pelican shirt. Nice.
You've probably been, have you been to that event? If not, you need to be my guest this year. Have you been?
I have not, because it's a Friday and it's lake season, and I'm usually down in Sheldon, Missouri, Table Rock Lake.
That's a decent excuse, but for those that will be in town, that will be here in no time. So add it to the calendar. Again, it's to benefit Band of Angels, Art That Blows, and shout out to Derek Miller, one of my best friends from college, is a rock star, which means they're ambassador for raising money. And then Tamara Stelting, who is our team's COO, she is a rock star as well. So it's fun to continue to support people that stay engaged. I should nominate you next year, Jeff.
There you go. That'd be an honor. So thanks for our third episode here. We'll include links if people want to get on your newsletter for either Searcy or keep updated on the book. And I know you're publishing blogs on LinkedIn and other places to talk about different chapters or different principles in your book. So thanks for doing that. I can't wait to read it.
Awesome. Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you for listening to this special edition of The Corporate Couch. If you enjoyed the episode, I would love for you to take 2 minutes out of your day to rate us 5 stars and write a review. Please join me weekly, where I interview great leaders that share their career journey and their leadership wisdom.